We'll call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals. Would you please stand for the pledge of the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mike Curtis.
Here.
Amber Brown.
Here.
Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Gary Farley.
Here.
Renee Curtis.
Here.
Patrick Hale.
Here.
Zane Cantrell.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We have before us now the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes?
No, I make a motion to approve as.
Have a motion that be approved.
Second.
Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Mike Curtis.
Yes.
Amber Brown. Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Renee Curtis. Patrick Hale.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Thank you. Let me welcome all of you here this evening, and I'll explain how we'll go about this. This may be the first time some of you have been to a BZA meeting. We will first have a report from our staff up here, and then following that, we will have the person who is making the request to come to the podium and give any additional information, or there may be questions from our board. Now, this is not a public hearing part, so we will have a public hearing following that, which will give each one of you a chance to make whatever position you want to before the board. We ask that you keep that within the 3-minute limit. It's not like we don't know what's going on and what's before us. We've been on this rodeo before, so it's not our first time. So just be specific on what you ask and try not to get off onto things that we have no jurisdiction over. So you will have your chance. Thank you. We have first item, Verna Lee Norris, who is requesting a special exemption for a dwelling unit. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2024-22 involves the property located at 4196 Joe Brown Road. It's a request for special exception approval for an accessory dwelling unit that does not meet the design standards for ADUs involving a property located in the RM, medium density residential zoning district. And this is a 22-acre parcel, and the applicant, there are two mobile homes on the property. In fact, just one single wide mobile home and a double wide mobile home. At one point, there were 3 mobile homes, but the third one had been removed a while back. It's the applicant's wish to move in a single wide mobile home onto her property so she can live in the new single wide. Her double wide that she lives in now, her son who lives in the other mobile home, I know this is confusing, is going to eventually move into the double wide after it's fixed up. So we explained to her if she was able to remove the second single wide before we issued a CO, then she wouldn't even need to come to the board, but she wanted to come to the board anyway because she didn't want to be limited to that time because it may take longer than anticipated. There are 3 septic systems on the property. It's her intention to tie in to one of those septic systems, the one that's not being utilized. And with just to explain the provision of the code, when you have a parcel that's greater than 15 acres, you are allowed 2 principal structures and 1 ADU for a total of 3 structures. And the reason that you're seeing this is because she's going to have 2 single wides. The ADU is a single wide. And so our zoning ordinance mandates that it obtains a special exception before they can move forward. We received 1 phone call regarding this request, but it was someone who shared the driveway that the applicant lives off of, and they indicated they had no issue. They were aware of what she was hoping to do. And these are photos of the surrounding area. If you look at the aerial, I mean, you can see there's not a lot going on in this area. It's close to 840. The drive itself was built by TDOT, I guess when 840 came in, and then it's well done, and then it turns into like a gravel drive. But this area is not really conducive to a lot of development based on the amount of rock in this area and the lack of soils. And we find that the request meets the criteria for special exception approval.
Renee, did you have a question?
And for my knowledge, how many trailers, mobile homes, or whatever the definition, is it before there is a trailer court?
I believe it's 3. She'll have 2, because we treat double wides the same as a site-built home.
A double wide that's moved in is considered a site-built home?
Yes. Or not, it's not considered that, but we treat it the same way.
Yes, the same, the same, okay.
Gary?
So if we approve this and she puts the 3rd one there, she don't have to take the other one out.
If you approve it, it's a special exception, so you are allowed to have some conditions, but she was concerned because the existing double wide that her son's going to move into needs some work, and it may take him longer than.
But my original question was, if we approve this and she changes her mind, she will not have to move it.
She would not have to move it, no.
Thank you.
But just to clarify, there was 3 at one time. There's 3 septic systems on the property.
Although the 3 septic systems, were they registered with the state of Tennessee?
I believe
or is
so.
it just
Yes, she had
it
permits
has been
for 'em.
registered? Thank you.
Yeah, the company that she is going through has really helped her go through the process.
Right, because so many of these that we run across in Rutherford County have not been. They're just, they've just been put in by the owner, a farmer or something years ago. So, just wondering.
Any
Thank
other
you.
question?
Mr. Chairman, Danielle, this is a question for staff. Is there any way we could make this a temporary special exception for a certain period of time, or is there any limitation to that?
I imagine that there are, with it being a special exception, you can condition it. We're pretty flexible, so we would have allowed her to keep it on there until she needed like a CO for that 3rd one. She does need a little extra time, more than what you would expect for the permitting phase. She needs to be able to move into her single wide once it's installed. So.
Okay, I'm just trying to explore options. Thank you.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around to the podium, please. Thank you, Renee. Just give us your name and any additional information you want to give on this. We may have some questions.
Thank you. I'm Verna Norris, and as it is stated here, I am requesting an exception and would appreciate, this is going to be my last forever home, and I would appreciate your opinion and approval. Thank you.
Ms. Norris, how long would you need to get the the double wide fixed up for your son?
I would need approximately close to a year because I'm going to have to set the new trailer up and then get moved in there and then move him in the other trailer. Yes.
So if we were to condition this with, and give you a year and to make it temporary, that would help you out, and it would help the neighbors out as well.
I appreciate that. I really wish there wasn't be a time frame on it. Can you tell me why it would help my neighbors?
Well, I mean, it could be looking like it could be a mobile home park or something coming.
No, sir, it will not be rented out, and it is at a point where it needs to be torn down.
Torn down.
It will be. It will be. I just want to have enough time to do all that.
And that's why I'm talking about and asking the question, where how much time you would need. So if we were to do something temporary and give you a year, that would suffice.
I would hope so. I've never done this before, so I
right.
really don't know. Now, Gary Farley,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
If you put a temporary on that and it comes to that time and I'm not finished, will I be able to do another extension?
I'll have to rely on staff to be able to answer that question. Is that?
Well, you could build in like the ability of her to return or ask for an administrative extension. I'm not entirely sure. We have, in the past, you guys did place conditions, time limits, and whenever that time limit lapsed, they appeared before you again. So.
Okay, all right.
I do not have any neighbors that are at a point that they can, view us, or we don't bother the neighbor. We don't have but one neighbor.
And the reason I bring this up is there is a possibility that that this body may deny this, and I'm looking for an avenue where there might be a situation of some kind of compromise is why I bring this up.
Yes, sir. I understand.
Any other questions? Renee, would you help her?
Thank you.
Thank you.
For consideration.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request, if you'll come around to the podium at this time. Close the public hearing. I think this is straight up, so we need to go ahead and move on this. Do I have a motion on it?
I make a motion we approve, Mr. Chairman, but for it to expire in 1 year, and it'd have to come back before us if they're not complete.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second to that? We have a second. Any further discussion? Call a roll, please.
Mike Curtis,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
Patrick Hale,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Is approved. The next item we have is Tyler Mentick, who is requesting a special exemption approval for an accessory dwelling. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2024-24 involves the property located at 702 River Birch Farms Drive. It's a request for special exception approval for an accessory dwelling unit that does not meet the design standards for ADUs involving a property located in the RM zone. And it's a .83 acre parcel, and Mr. Mentick would like to establish an accessory dwelling unit in the rear of his property. He indicates that he would like the unit would be occupied by visiting relatives, and then indicated in the future that one of his children with special needs would use that as an apartment. It would be detached, and the reason that we are considering this application is that it's less than an acre. We received a lot of phone calls regarding this particular application with concerns about the second dwelling being placed on the property. I believe that you will hear from some of the neighbors. They didn't feel that it was appropriate for this particular area for the second home. There was also some concerns mentioned about the placement of the accessory dwelling unit and the area that are considered the septic soils as well as the duplicate soils area. And in cases like this, and Mr. Mentick was contacted, he would like to remove or modify one of the bedrooms in the existing home so that he doesn't need a modification to a septic permit and offset it by transferring it to the ADU. And obviously those modifications to the bedroom would be inspected. He would not it would not require a septic modification unless he asked for the modification or asked for an additional bedroom, and then he may have to locate additional soils. We found that the request meets the criteria for special exception approval, and that concludes our presentation. I will show you the area. The concerns that we had was the condition of the property, and that on occasion that it appears unkept. And this is the location of the accessory dwelling unit, and he just included a rendering. I think this is from like a southern living plan of the ADU and what it would look like, though he plans to use similar materials as the home. And that concludes our presentation.
Do you need additional fill line there?
It was his intention to offset one of the bedrooms, so to remove one of the bedrooms in the principal residence and transfer it to the ADU. That would not trigger additional review by TDEC.
Any questions?
Yeah, how would he remove a bedroom? Is he going to tear it out?
I can answer that for you. So a bedroom is defined as a room with a closet in it. So we require them to remove the closet out of the room. So it could be an office or something similar. But they can't have any clothing space or storage space to hang any clothing.
And then 30 minutes after y'all left, it'd be a rod back in there. Yeah, it happens.
So that's true. Yeah, obviously, we're not going to be there to police it. However, legally, they cannot sell, when it comes time to sell it, they cannot transfer the property with anything more than 3 bedrooms legally. They can't sell it with any more bedrooms than the septic system allows for.
Amber?
To make sure I have this right, they're reducing a bedroom and adding another bedroom outside of the property. Is that how I'm understanding this request?
Sounds like a shell game.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
My name is Tyler Mentick. I'm the owner of the property. To address the septic concerns, this was a solution brought to me by Mark down at Codes. When I talked to him, I've had TDEC out there, I've had septic crews out there. We've identified where my soil system is. We can place the ADU outside of the duplicate space. When I talked to Mark down at Codes, he suggested removing the bedroom, since we do have a dedicated guest bedroom in our house now, and the ADU would fulfill that role. And my wife works from home. It'd actually be great to have a built-in desk into that space and take it off line as a bedroom. We'd be maintaining that 4-bedroom system. At this point, I'm just looking for a ability to create a safe and local home for my child with special needs, so in the future he can stay there, and we can have families stay there and have their own space while they're visiting with us. I do have 4 children. I do have 0.8 acres. There are times where my grass gets a little long, toys are left out. For that, I do apologize, but it's part of being a father.
Any questions?
I've got
Thank
a
you.
question. I've got a quick question. Have you talked to your neighbors? Because it sounds like there's been a lot of
If you look at this lot, I have talked to 207 and 710 explicitly about the location. I actually have, I've marked out where my last septic field line is, how far out I can come, and I've walked my next door neighbor, and I've offered it to Emily at 207 to go back there and see exactly where placement is. We have about, I believe it's about 50 feet between that we can build in and maintain our minimum setback off of Jane and Dennis, who live at 710. After there was some feedback, I had a couple neighbors bring me back that feedback. So I've talked, the 2 neighbors that's most directly affected, I have spoken to in person. They are happy with it. They're not here today to say anything. After I was brought some of the feedback about the concerns, I did try to address as much of that as possible in our little neighborhood has a Facebook group. I went and said, hey, here are the concerns I've seen. This is X, Y, and Z plans. Please reach out to me. I'd love to come over and talk. I'd love to have some sort of conversation with you. And so far, none of the people present here today took that opportunity to reach out to me ahead of time.
You're aware of the setback?
Yes, I'm aware of the setbacks. So I'm a construction project manager for L&L Contractors. This is my personal property. L&L would be running the job, but setbacks, placement, zoning, I'm in permitting office every day having conversations with them. So obviously, like I said, I don't feel like I should have to say this, but all state, local codes, laws, everything will be observed. If I pour a foundation where I'm not in a legal setback, I now get to rip up that foundation and shift it to 2 feet to be in the setback. I understand all that, yes.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated.
I have a question.
We'll open this for a public hearing.
Well, I mean, can you understand kind of the hesitation? You're removing a bedroom to build a bedroom.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm relocating a guest bedroom and making a dedicated office space.
Okay.
And you have 4 children
Yep.
and 3 bedrooms?
4 bedrooms.
4 bedrooms.
I have a 4-bedroom system.
So are you going to keep a child outside now? Is one of them old enough to move out to the outside shed?
No, but the 2 of them have shared a bedroom their entire life, and they like sharing a bedroom, and they've actually informed me that they plan on moving in together when they grow up. So, yeah.
Thank you.
We have some fairly large bedrooms in there, yeah.
Any other questions? Did that answer your question?
It did. I mean,
You may be seated.
Thank you.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this. If you'll come forward to the podium at this time, please.
While he's coming up, do you mind if I make a comment, Mr. Chairman? Do you mind? Eliminating one of the bedrooms in a home and adding it in an ADU is not uncommon. If the system cannot accommodate another bedroom, this process is not uncommon, and people do it all the time. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there.
They do it all the time, but they don't come to us?
Well, if the ADU, they only come to you if the ADU requires BZA approval in that it's less than an acre. If it's greater than an acre, they're not required to have BZA approval.
Because there's a whole lot of less than acres these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is where we need to make sure we do this right.
Go ahead, give us your name and your...
Hello, my name is Dave Mason. I'm a neighbor in Riverbird Farms. And late last week, there was a group chat started with about 20 of the neighbors, and it quickly blew up on the phones with people providing their concerns and comments. And again, everybody appreciates Mr. Mentick's participation in the neighborhood, but people had a lot of concerns relative to this new dwelling that's being proposed. Some of those concerns are directly in relationship to the Rutherford County dwelling requirements. that a second unit must be occupied by a member as defined by this ordinance or their invited guest. Some of the people that were in that group chat mentioned that they had been told that Mr. Mentick was considering needing some extra rental income, so that raised some concerns with the neighbors. It says the new separate outside entrance serving the ADU shall not be visible from the right-of-way. As you saw in the plot, this is a corner lot, and therefore there's no way to not see the front of that proposed dwelling from the right-of-way from the street. Then also the ADU shall be designed compatible with the aesthetics of the principal residence. We have not seen a design that does show that does meet the aesthetics of the neighborhood or of its principal residence. So because of that, a lot of people could not be here today, and so they reached out. And again, this was only people that had reached out to people in the group chat, and I spearheaded saying, okay, if you can't be here today and you want to sign a petition, they did. So I've got 18 neighbors that want to present.
Just turn it in to our staff.
18 neighbors that signed that they're not in favor of the proposed ADU being approved. I know that talking with Danielle, very nice lady yesterday, she did inform me that what I'm going to say next can't be necessarily considered, but I do want to be part of the record. Riverbirch Farms is under a restrictive covenant agreement that every neighbor is required to sign prior to purchasing their lots and is bound by these covenants. In that covenant, there are several things that puts this ADU in violation of that. Certainly architectural controls that each unit acknowledges that the decor, color scheme, landscaping, and design of the property has been selected.
Excuse me, right there, right here. We don't have anything to do with the homeowners association.
I just want it on record so that if it comes up later, because
just, as you know, we don't have anything to do with the homeowners association.
But are these?
We can't enforce it. We can't go to the court. Okay.
Agreed. I understand that, but I just wanted to have part of the record of the meeting. So, in addition to that, it clearly states that residents, no lot shall be used for the purpose except for the construction and maintenance of a residential building, and no such residential structures on such lot be designed, constructed, or used for more than one family. Under the same provision, trailers, no trailer, basement, house, tent, garage, barn, or other outbuilding shall be erected or used as a temporary or permanent residence. Okay? So again, even though that there is no HOA board currently in our neighborhood, everybody is still bound by these covenants, and it says the association, developer, or any owner shall have the right to enforce any proceeding at law or in equity, restrictions, conditions, covenants, reservations, liens, and charges now or hereafter imposed by this declaration. The express.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It'll have to be taken up with your attorney.
And that's been good. That's been good for 30 years.
It'll be a civil matter. Yes, sir.
Correct. I just wanted part of the record.
Thank you.
Still here. So anyway, I appreciate your consideration, and again, it's nothing personal.
To finish up.
Nothing personal, but we're concerned about
Wait, we have a question here for you.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to say what Renee said. That's a civil matter that
Agreed. We understand that.
So that's what she was trying to tell you that.
I understand that.
We appreciate you reading it to us, but we can't enforce it.
I understand that, but I did want to be part of the record.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sir,
Anyone else
I'm
feel
sorry, could you state your name for the minutes? David Mason? Mason.
223 Boxton Way.
Anyone else come around, please?
And I'm going to start the timer. Okay.
Well, I was trying to keep up with it.
Randall Dunn with 226 Foxton Way. I live right down the street. I have some handouts, but I only made 5, so who can I give these to?
You'll give them to the staff here. They'll see that they get it.
Well, I need all the board people to see.
Yeah.
Give it to each person here.
Here, that's a septic permit.
Yeah, you can give it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know who. I didn't know how many board members there were. I'll try to make this quick since I only have 3 minutes. I wrote it all out, so I'm just going to read it, and then we'll try to look at it real quick. So what you're looking at here, I got from the septic people that shows the septic system. And the little curvature on that page, there's 2 roads. There's a road that goes in front, and there's a road that runs down to the side. All that blackened area is in the back, exactly where this proposed building site is going to be. It goes all the way to the back, okay? You can see it right there on the page, okay? So anyway, there are many reasons why I don't think the approval of this is a good idea, but I want to focus right now on why it can't be approved. The proposed building site is directly over part of the present acceptance system and will also be over the only duplicate system backup available on the lot. As you know, we have a lot of rock here in Rutherford County, and those lots were designed for only so many bedrooms on each lot. Now, my lot, I have 4 acres, but even on 4 acres, I only have a 4-bedroom home because in 4 acres, they could only find that much room for a 4-bedroom house. And this is only a little bit over half an acre, okay? I've heard that he has plans to take out a closet, thus reducing the bedroom from 4 to 3 in his house, opening up that idea that he can add another bedroom, but this still doesn't account for the fact that he is building over what can't be built over. Okay, he's trying to build over a duplicate septic system and all that. Now, you ask a question about his children. He has 4, but I understand that his wife is very much pregnant with number 5. Okay? I also understand that his children, the oldest one's about 6 or 7. So it's going to be a long time before they're out in another place. Okay, so I just want you to have those facts, okay? Let's look at the handed out drawings at the present septic system. The first one is when the lot was first perked in 2011. It was only perked for a 3-bedroom at that time. That required 370 linear feet of septic line in ditches 36 inches wide. You can see where the area of the initial system was put. You can also see the area for duplication, which means if the first system fails or you need to add more fill line, that area is reserved for that purpose. You can see that that area is exactly where he has proposed to build this new house. And I want to be clear here. This is a full-scale house he has proposed to build. I've owned several rentals over my life and still do. I have a 500 square foot house I use for myself at times and families and holidays and rented out for years. Even that was considered a full-scale house. Anything with a living room, bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, and laundry room, and even a front porch is projected is not a mini home. This is a full-scale house. This thing is proposed to be 30 to 35 feet by 25 feet. That's a 750 to 800 square foot house. Okay, back to our septic drawings. Now, if you will look at the next page, this is where the next owner of the property went back and had the property re-perked. This time, they re-perked it for 4-bedroom, but then the septic system had to be increased. They now had to increase the septic lines from 370 linear feet to now 495 linear feet. That is an additional 125 more feet of pipe in the ground.
You've run out of time. You need to finish up, please.
Okay, I'm almost done. Okay. They added this was in the duplicate area, which is once again the exact place that Mr. Mentick has proposed to build this other home. At this point, I would like you to look back and I will read what was number 2 under the notes section of the septic permit. And this is on the septic permit. It says, keep structures, garages, pools, driveways, and utility lines 10 feet from the shaded soil area. So if you look at the shaded soil area, it covers the entire back part of his property, which is where he's proposed to build this thing, okay? There is no room for a full-scale house to be located anywhere behind his house on that small lot. It is full of septic lines, and the rest is a duplicate area that the permit says do not build over any shaded area. So I've got more, but he says I've run out of time. So I think I brought up the fact there's no room to build this place there. There's just no room, okay?
Hey, wait just a minute. See if there are any questions to you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wants to speak on this? Close the public hearing. We have anyone else? No, you've had your chance. This is a public hearing for the public. Thank you. We don't get into arguing back and forth, okay? Any questions from the BZA board? I'll entertain a motion then. We'll close the public hearing. Mike?
Mr. Chairman, the issues of the restrictive covenants and the soils regulation are handled by other organizations than us. And what we're here for today is the zoning approval of this piece of property. And we have to trust our staff to come up with appropriate recommendations based on the zoning resolution, which is our bounding document. And with the staff recommendation for approval, I so move.
Have a motion to be approved. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, is it appropriate for us to delay this about a month?
Yes, you can. We have a motion on the floor.
Well, we got,
So I'm on the rules that the motion dies for lack of a second. What is your motion on it?
well, this board does not deal with restrictive covenants. This board does not deal with septic tank concerns. Those are handled by other entities within the county. However,
The septic tank is probably what you're thinking about. You want to speak to that?
Well, if you'll let me know what your concern is, I will try and answer it. We don't regulate septic systems either. TDEC does, but I will certainly try and answer any concerns that you may have.
what I mean is there are issues that he will have nothing to do with this board. However, it's pretty obvious his concepts and such, in my mind, are not compatible with the neighborhood around him. So I'd make a motion that we turn it down.
Have a
Second.
motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Call a roll, please.
Mike Curtis,
No.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
Sartain,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
Patrick Hale,
No.
Zane Cantrell.
Oh. What do we got?
It's a tie.
Did I do no wrong? Did I vote the right way? I want to do oppose. Do we do it right?
Well, yay means that you.
I agree. And so when I said yes. I
Motion
said-
died
There we go.
because we have a tie on the vote.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
We have another motion that we want to make. Mike, I'm going to move that we're going to table this for the time being, and we may come back to this before we leave here tonight, okay? Give us a little bit more time to think about this. Let's move on to the next item.
Mr. Chair, I apologize if I might interject.
Pardon?
You need a second for that.
Yeah.
Table it to the end of the docket tonight.
Does anybody oppose it? Tabling it?
I will second your motion, Chair.
Okay. Well, it's not a motion, I'm just,
Oh, okay. Well, just
so you're...
whatever it takes to get
You
it.
agree with it. Most of you agree with it. I'll leave it like that then.
So, Mr. Chair, with the consent of the body, you're exercising the chair's prerogative to move it to the end of the docket. Is that correct?
Pardon?
You're exercising the chair's prerogative to
Yes.
move this matter to the end of the docket.
Yes.
Without
I don't want it to be into a motion.
Understood, so it was not a motion.
That's all right.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, our next item is a request by Rafael Onate. What do you have on that?
Thank you. Application 2024-25 involves the property located at 5963 Shelbyville Pike. It's a request for special exception approval for the establishment of a major home-based business involving auto body repair upon the property located in the RM zone. And this is a 3.68 acre parcel, and it's in off of 4-lane divided highway. You do have evidence of commercial in the area. I think this was a retail store. This is a convenience store and gas station. Further down Shelbyville Pike, you have some additional non-residential properties. But the applicant came in and spoke with staff and was advised that applying for a major home-based business was the best route to go. So the applicant last year obtained a permit for the construction of this building back here in the rear of the property, and within that structure he would like to the ability to fix cars, not sell the cars. He will have a paint booth and a frame machine within the structure. The applicant does not plan to establish signage to announce the business, and business days of operation will be Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and he's proposing to have 2 additional employees. And so the applicant was apprised of all of the conditions that regulate major home-based businesses, and he is willing to comply with those, and he is here before you today to apply for a home-based business. So these are photos of the surrounding area. Shelbyville Highway, it's a busy highway, just outbuildings on that particular property, and then this is the shop that would be used for the home-based business. And our aerials were just updated, but when I prepared this, we did not have the structure on our aerials, so it's there now, you can see. I did not receive any calls in opposition to this, only one call, and it was informational, and they did not indicate that they were opposed to it.
Danielle?
Yes, sir?
It says that it was permitted and built in 2023 as a personal storage.
That's correct.
Is the owners changed?
No, not that I know of, so.
The same guy that built the building for personal storage now wants to run a business.
It is rather large, but he is entitled with his size of property to have that square footage. In fact, I believe he removed a couple of the outbuildings that were present on the site in order to come into compliance with that square footage limitation of 5% of the total lot area.
Can you repeat that?
When he came in, he actually came in and started building, and I don't have the permit information. Initially, it was smaller, and then as he was constructing it, he decided he wanted to go larger. So he came in, everything's permitted, and modified that building permit to increase the size to 6,500 square feet. In the original paperwork, when he came in to apply, he had indicated, and there was some outbuildings located on the property here in this general area. He indicated that they would be removed in order to be able to have the additional square footage to work with. So everything is compliant. The building has been inspected. I think, I don't know if it's been finalized out or not, but it was built with a permit as a personal accessory structure, so.
And it looked like there were 3 bays.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other question? Okay, we'll open this for a public hearing. Wait a minute. Yeah.
Can we hear from the applicant
Yeah,
first?
let me hear from whoever's making this request. Sorry about that. You'll give us your name and any additional information you want to share on this.
Good afternoon. My name is Rafael Onate. I live at 5963 Shelbyville Pike. What we're hoping to set up is a collision repair center. When we first started building, it was going to be a barn so we could store just personal things. The property belongs to my father, and he has a tractor we were going to store there. I have a few cars myself, and we're just going to have a few items that we were just going to store. And about before we started this process, I have a friend of ours, and he's going to be one of our partners. He got out of the work he was in, and he does collision repair, and that's who brought the idea up about using it for that rather than what we had originally planned using it for. So that is the reason why we built it the size we built it, so that we could just store. I have about 4 or 5 cars, and I wanted to put them in there. We also have a couple trailers that we have and that we use for just personal reasons, maybe to move furniture that we buy, things like that. So the reason that we decided to change it from personal to hopefully do a business there is since he got out of the job he was in, we wanted just to start something small and see how that turned out.
Any questions?
I have one, please. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
When was the picture of the dwelling taken, the whole picture, with the house and everything?
Early 2024?
February
I would like to
1st
see
of
it
this
again.
year.
Oh, the photographs?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay, a couple weeks ago. Okay.
No, show it to me again, please. The whole thing. Keep going. Okay. Did you take that picture?
No, I did.
Where did that picture come from? That you? Okay, and it was taken 2 weeks ago?
I don't know. I didn't take a
Okay.
picture.
Do you live there permanently?
I currently live there.
You currently live there full-time?
Yes. Well, since I travel sometimes for work, I'm not at home, but I do stay there.
How often do you travel?
Well, it just depends what I have to do.
What do you do?
I work at a restaurant. Well, we work at restaurants.
And do cars, too?
Yes.
Yeah? On the side? Okay.
Okay, Jerry.
Can you go put back up the plat that you had?
To the aerial? Okay.
Okay, the street behind you, 252, 262, 278, 294, how far is your back of your building to their back fence?
I'm not entirely sure how the distance, but there is a tree line that separates their property from ours.
Yeah.
And we are willing to put up a privacy fence if that's
A
necessary.
privacy fence won't do much for grinding, beating. You talked about a frame machine. You're going to have air compressors,
Yes.
sanding, and those things.
That's one of the
gonna
reasons
kill
why
those
the
people.
business hours will be, we were going to do 7 to 5.
Well, business
That way it's
hours,
just
business
within-
hours doesn't mean that you can make those people uncomfortable just because you got business hours. You're in a residential
Well,
zone.
The reason those business hours are like that is so that we can reduce any type of noise that might be caused, but we are going to try to keep that within the building that we built. And that way, if we're at work, more than likely they're at work as well, and we'll just try to keep all the noise to a minimum.
Well, not everyone works in the
I want
day.
to say maybe the distance is maybe 50 feet from the closest house, I guess.
Okay. Have
It
you
might be about
read?
20 to 30
That's more
feet.
than 50 feet from the house, now to the
No, I'm
property line.
talking about from the building where the noise will be coming
Right.
from.
To the
Yeah.
neighbor's house. Mhm.
Well, he has a setback time that he has to come.
Right, so the setback was determined to be in compliance when, at the time of permitting, but that was a personal accessory structure.
That's correct.
So-
So you can't intrude on your neighbors to where you're beating and banging and they can't watch TV. And everyone doesn't work it in the daytime.
No, I agree.
But have you read the conditions for a major home business?
Yes.
You can only have certain vehicles. All of them have to be, all your materials have to be inside.
Yes.
You can't make a junkyard.
No, we agree with that. Pretty much what you see now is the way it's going to be kept. The only thing that we'll keep outside is any new customers that will arrive. We are going to have that put concrete outside just so we can maintain it cleaner and not have a bunch of mud everywhere. And the building, since it's a bigger building, we are going to be able to store vehicles in there, but we will not be doing, pretty much it'll just be if he gets one or two in, he'll work on those. Once they're out, he'll get another one. That way we can be able to store everything inside the building and not have anything outside.
I have a question.
Renee?
Why did you not just go to the commercial route? Why are you wanting to say?
Because we figured since I'm living there and it's a
But you're
residence.
hardly living there.
Yes.
I go by there every day.
Yeah, since
I live there.
Oh, you live there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
how
so
you
there's
doing?
nobody
How
there,
you
and I
doing?
go by there all the time, but thanks
Yeah.
for, I'm your neighbor, yeah.
Doing-
But there's never anyone there.
Yeah, I'm there, but I'm in and out pretty
Yeah,
much. I
me
mean,
too.
sometimes you'll see me, sometimes you won't.
There's no cars other than cars that are not driven. I don't ever see it the same cars.
Right
no-
now, I had a red truck out there, and I moved that recently. I drive a gray Jeep, and if I see you next time, I'll say hello.
Do you also, is your partner live in Christiana also?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. You may be seated.
Thank you.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this, if you'll come around at this time. Close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion on this, please.
I would like to make a motion to deny. It is not proper for the location. It's a residential area, and if he wants it to go commercial, he needs to go to the proper channels to go to commercial.
We have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Did you second?
Yes. Call a roll, please.
Mike Curtis,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
Sartain,
Yes.
Gary Farley, Renee Curtis,
Yes.
Patrick Hill,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Pass. Next item of business we have is a request by George Patterson, who is requesting a special exemption for a major home business involving an auto repair. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2024-26 involves the property located at 1517 Mount Herman Road. It's an approval for the establishment of a major home-based business involving auto repair upon a property located in the RM Residential Zoning District. This is a 44-acre parcel. However, the activity that is going to take place will be towards the front. And this is as a result of code enforcement. Mr. Patterson was contacted, and I probably need to let me advance to the survey. Okay, so Mr. Patterson has worked with staff. He initially applied to rezone the property. This structure's located to bring it all to commercial. Right now, this piece right here, which is his property, is commercially zoned and acceptable for auto repair. It's permitted. However, the structure encroaches into the residential area. Now, I don't believe that this had anything to do with the actual code enforcement issue. There was some cars being stored or something, and I understand that he has come into compliance regarding the appearance, but we have to remedy the zoning. So when he appeared before the Planning Commission, because he has followed all the steps that staff has recommended, the neighbors were really concerned about that parcel being zoned commercially, and so the board, I believe, the Planning Commission did not make a decision that night, and Mr. Patterson came in and staff advised him that since he lives in this residence, that he could apply for a major home-based business since this is the structure that's being used. And it's partially on a commercially zoned property. It's very convoluted, I'm sorry. But the reason that staff advised him to apply for a home-based business was that the concerns of the residents expressed at the Planning Commission, they didn't feel that the entire property was appropriate to be rezoned. They were concerned because, as you can see across the street, there is a junkyard, and so they didn't want it to turn into something that looked like that. But that's industrially zoned. So all this is a request for a major home-based business for him to be able to use this structure, continue to use this structure in his home site for auto repair. And this use right here is auto repair as well. So, and we find that the request meets the criteria for home-based business approval.
We have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
But Danielle, all he wants is that building, but if we give the approval, it applies to the whole property.
You can limit it to the front of the property. You can limit it to that general area where it's located. I believe he's going to combine the two pieces by plat so that it's all on the same property.
Do you have other pictures?
Probably none that are going to really give you a great idea of.
So is the building the only part that's sticking into the other property?
Yes. And so you can't see the junkyard across the salvage yard across the street because of the trees.
Yeah, that's been there forever.
Yes. And that's the home. And this, you can see here, this is the property adjacent to Mr. Patterson. Yeah, so the pictures, because of the vegetation, the pictures aren't really going to reveal as much. We didn't walk the property. So.
Okay, we have the owner here. If you'll give us your name and any additional information about this.
My name is George Patterson, and I am the one that resides at 1517 Mount Hermon Road. The property belongs to my father. He resides at 1545 Mount Hermon Road. And we originally come in with a 5-acre tract to be cut off, and the neighbors was all complaining, but they're all on the other street that wouldn't be touching this property whatsoever. But if you want to just own that building commercial, that's fine. And leave the rest the way it is.
Any questions here? Renee, do you have? Patrick?
From what I do understand is that staff had reached out to the commissioner in that area, who I think was present at the Planning Commission meeting, and it seemed to be a good compromise.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Need a motion. Jerry?
Well, I would make a motion that we approve the request for the building only. Does not include the property to the rear of the building.
Okay.
And we would make that stipulation.
We have a motion that it be approved for the building. We have a second.
I can second that.
Any further discussion? Call a roll, please.
Mike Curtis.
Yes.
Amber Brown. Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
Renee Curtis. Patrick Hale.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. The next item we have is Belinda Balderas, and this is a request for exception for a major home business, and this is concrete construction. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2024-27 involves the location at 5760 Elam Road. It's a special exception request for the establishment of a major home-based business involving a concrete construction business in the RM zone. And this is the site in question. This is the result of code enforcement action. We had received complaints regarding unapproved business. It was investigated and determined that it was the site, a business was being conducted from the site, and the applicants were notified, and they came in to talk about what their options were. Currently, the home was recently constructed last year, and they access the property using a private drive, a shared drive with other property owners, but they would like to continue to use that and use this portion of the property, and I'll show you a better graphic, for the storage of equipment, which includes a skid steer for work trucks, as well as materials, which includes wood and concrete forms. They would like to have 5 non-resident employees that will report to the site. Business days will be Monday through Friday from the hours 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So according to the applicant, the employees would report to the site, pick up their work trucks, materials, leave, and then return later. They would not be there for the entire day. We did receive several phone calls regarding this request. There's concerns. I think when we initially inspected it, some of the employees had parked on the driveway because it was impassable due to a rainfall that had just occurred. These are pictures of the site, and the 2 letters that I passed out are regarding this case from neighbors in the area with concerns for this request. And the applicant has indicated a willingness to install a fence, a privacy fence, along the one property boundary. And let me advance to they have a privacy fence in this particular area, and they have offered to install a privacy fence along this property boundary for the neighbor's benefit, and I believe they already had the fence in the back. It's just this portion of the property that does not have a privacy fence. But you can see from the aerial, the general area of activity, they have a couple detached structures. I think it's their intention to also build a structure in the future and maybe eliminate those 2 smaller structures. But the applicant is here, and if you have any questions, we'll be glad to help.
Danielle, I have a question for you. So if they decide to build a structure to be able to house whatever equipment, how far off of that property line would they have to place that structure?
For residentially zoned property, with the exception of easements being recorded or access easements as well as drainage easements. This particular property, I doubt has any, and you can go up to 5 feet off the side and rear property line. It's not treated as a commercial structure.
Okay.
So am I understanding that driveway services 1, 2, 3, 4 houses?
Yes. Now, there were some concerns about whether or not they would be able to create a driveway and access Mount Tabor Road from their property. I think the people were against that. It's within your authority to limit what access will be used. However, I believe one of the letters that you received is actually from one of the neighbors that used that driveway, and they had experienced some issues encountering employees entering and leaving, as well as when the rainfall, it was impassable.
So if we approve the construction up there where it says 5760, all of the traffic in and out affects these other 3 houses?
Right, it already has, because they were operating.
But they're not
without-
supposed to be doing it.
Right, that's why we are here. This is a result
Yes.
of code enforcement.
Okay. Thank you.
We have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
While they're coming, if I could ask staff a real quick question, is there any kind of written documentation on their access of using that private drive?
I couldn't find any,
Okay.
but obviously, if there were issues with it, we would have heard from the neighbor who actually owns the property, so.
You need someone to
Hi, my name is
pull the
Blandina
microphone
Tello.
down. There you go.
Hello, my name is Blandina Tello, but he's Tony Underwood. He can help me for explain everything.
Go ahead.
As far as the easement, they have permission from the landowner. And as far as there's only 2 houses on the driveway. And
Could you step up to the mic, sir, so we can all hear you? Thank you.
the neighbor that owns the property has given the permission because he would not like to see the driveway through the back of his property. So,
Okay, the neighbor at 5704.
the log cabin on the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have anything in writing for that?
No.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that he would give an easement.
This is just totally outside the scope of this application, but I would highly recommend that.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may,
I've got a quick question on, in there it says it's 5 work vehicles. What type of work vehicles are those?
Like pickup trucks.
Pickup trucks. And then the only heavy equipment that you have is a skid steer. Where will that be stored?
Currently, it's been stored outside, but their plan is to build a building and put everything inside.
Okay, everything as in the rest of the materials, the concrete?
Whatever y'all need them to do, they will do.
Okay, and what activity, I think I need to understand what activity is happening on the property.
They store their equipment in trucks there. The workers come in, get in the trucks, and then they leave.
And then are you loading the materials? So when they come in for work, they're loading the materials and then leaving to do the business off-site? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Balderas, how long have you been working there out of this site?
About 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
I have a question. And you live at the residence, you say, how long have y'all lived there? 3 years? Did y'all build that house new?
The house is new. We just built, I built the house for them.
Okay, you built the house for them? Okay, so it's new.
Yes.
So you built the house knowing that there was a concrete business in the back of your house?
Their property. And
It's their property. I think
Yes.
I'm confused.
It's their property, and I built them a house.
Okay.
And they've cleaned the property up really, really nice.
Okay.
And their plan is to get the business fixed and really nice because they don't want it to be junky either.
Why don't you do that first and not junk it up and stuff and clean it up first and then come and ask for the variance or the... Yeah?
You're
working on it?
Yeah, because y'all called them.
Who called? Someone had a code enforcement. Yeah.
So
somebody tattletaled on her, on somebody, on whoever had the business. Yeah.
But, if they would have given them just a little bit, they would have had everything done, because that's the plans. First get the house and then get everything
Well,
ready.
so I'd like to hear from codes. We can hear what the complaint was.
So we were out there doing building inspections on the home, and it appeared that there was a concrete business there. So that's what the enforcement was born of.
Any other questions, Patrick?
I typically highlight it, but what were the hours of operation for the business? That seems to be an issue with one of the letters that we arrived here with, as far as the hours go of operation in the early morning and the late afternoon, and even onto the weekend, 6 and 7 days a week. So what are the hours going forward, or what would you do to try to reduce the complaints there?
Yeah, she's saying it's because they're only loading up in the morning for a couple hours and then a couple hours in the evening when they come in.
Well, the issue that we see is the trucks being loaded before 4 a.m. and that going 7 days a week, not just during business hours. So is there a way to not load or only load between certain hours to be able to get approval? What hours would suffice? And loading on the weekends? Would you want to continue to load on weekends as well?
Saturday and then Sunday. Only Saturday, not Sunday.
Okay.
I don't think they don't work hardly any Sundays.
Let me see if I've got this straight. So you've purchased, you live in the home, and it's your concrete business. Okay.
Okay.
Is there a way for emergency vehicles to get into all of this and get to your home?
Yes.
There is?
Yeah.
Can you explain that to me? Because there's not an egress, ingress, it doesn't look like.
Where the driveway comes in and you can see it turn, and it kind of, that blue line is kind of covering the driveway, and it goes straight in, and there's a driveway that goes to the other end of the house. Garage. So it's open all the way to it.
I'm sorry, have you talked to the neighbors at 5750?
I don't think they've talked to them in a while. We knew that.
We have John here if we need it.
It's a long going.
I'm sure.
The guy was clearing part of the property, and it wasn't his property, and her brother that owned it before them stopped him and put up a fence, and it's kind of been going on since.
Yeah.
Danielle, do you want to?
We have someone here that if you needed to say something, I don't know if you're fluent in Spanish, but we do have someone, an interpreter here that could ask questions of the applicant if she's not understanding our questions.
Juan Garcia is here. He can come for help me.
He's right here. Let's see.
Looks like to me he's doing a pretty good job himself.
Yeah.
Well, you, of course, but I didn't know if the hours of operation question. So.
Hi, my name is Juan Garcia. Good afternoon, everybody. I come in to help her with some translation what she don't understand.
Hey, Renee, do you have questions?
I just, my thought is, why did you not go get commercial property to do a commercial business?
The thing is, they try to work everything in the steps, and when they buy the property, they start to clean. This is why they are working in there in the day, because they are cleaning the property. The property was with a lot of bushes, a lot of trees.
Overgrown.
And trash, and they are cleaning everything. They are making looks nice. They are fixing all the property. And
my question again is, why did you not buy commercial property instead of residential property to start a business?
Sometimes you don't know what you have to do until you have the complaints, and this is why they are here, because they try to go with a law and make everything straight.
And the business has grown from what it
The business has grown from when it started,
they start,
which is a good thing, other than you need commercial space.
They start with a small business company, and you know, sometimes you don't know how far you can go in some business until you stay every day. Sometimes some companies disappear, some companies coming up.
Right. If it's dry in the sunshine and over a certain degree, they're pouring concrete no matter what.
They are working hard. They are working hard, and they coming up a little bit, and the property now looks a lot different. And another thing, they are not working 7 days like a house, how I heard. They are working just 6 days. And
6 days at 4 a.m. is really early for neighbors.
Mostly it's yes.
Have you tried to sleep through a diesel?
6 or 7 to 6 in the afternoon. Yeah, mostly every day, but not on Sundays.
Yeah, not on Sundays.
I think nobody want to work Sundays.
That's true.
Yeah, and they try to have the permission to have a commercial place, because it's what I told you, they want to
we're
try
going
to
to see
go
a
with the
lot
law.
of this, because that Buc-ee's is coming to this exit, so we know we're going to be seeing a lot of this. That's why I'm very concerned in doing spot zoning and giving the variance, because everybody starts from here. And they go here and here. That's everybody's I'm self-employed, so we all start at the bottom and we work our way up. But we all have to follow the rules.
Yes.
So I'm concerned with that, and that's my concern, is that you're growing a business already outgrown original, and you're outgrowing it. The neighbors, if it goes any bigger, how are they going to get in and out?
Yeah, but this is why they are here, because they try to go with the law,
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
They try to go with the law and have a commercial place.
Could you?
They're here trying to get everything
Illegal the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah, we appreciate that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what part of the property floods?
in the entrance of the, kind of where the property comes up.
There you
It doesn't, I can't tell where that is, Danielle.
There's a sinkhole and the driveway runs along beside it, and it crosses over that driveway from the road, and it don't do it very often.
I have a question. Are you putting anything in that sinkhole so that driveway does not sink itself?
It's around the edge of the sinkhole. There's enough rock there.
Are they filling in the sinkhole? That's my question. They have never, no trash? There's not dumped anything in the sinkhole?
They took a bunch of trash out and we cleaned it.
The sinkhole?
But it was a bunch of trash in it, and they're trying to make it nice.
Uh-huh. I'm just worried about a sinkhole, though. And big concrete trucks and equipment and things. I mean, you're on the edge of a driveway on a sinkhole.
Let's not get into too much of this.
Okay.
Patrick, did you have something else you wanted to bring up?
I want to approve this, okay? I want to do it. The concern is is the loud diesel tractor, or the skid steer, between, what was that? Well, getting them started, warming them up early in the morning whenever it's cold outside, having to get those going for the neighbors that are so close to that property line. Now, they're not as loud as, you know, a huge tractor trailer truck or, you know, something else, but it's still a diesel engine outside of somebody's window. If we're looking here at, let's see, what address was that? You're at
5760. My skid steer ain't no louder than my truck.
Yeah, I have one too. And most of the time, the trucks that have to pull them, though, are kind of loud. Uh-huh. But they have to come pick them up. Yeah.
Yeah, but the skid steer, mostly like 3-4 days they live in the jobs because they have to use next day, and they don't bring the skid steer to the job to the shop every day. You know, it's not every day when they have to pick it up from the shop to the jobs.
Okay.
Because they live in there.
Now, what can we do as far as the complaints that we have here with parking in the driveway whenever it's muddy? Are you going to have a good enough area to where your vehicles or your employees won't have to park in that driveway?
They've got an area to park in.
Okay.
The problem is when that floods maybe once or twice a year, they're complaining about that. They can put their own driveway in.
Sir? Yeah, thank you for the information. You may be seated at this time. We're going to open this for a public hearing.
Thank you.
And see what the neighbors have to say out there. If you'll come around, please, at this time. Give us your name and share anything with us. You've got 3 minutes.
My name is George Nelson. I live at 5704 Elam Road. The property that we're talking about, the drive is on my property. I've given permission to my neighbors that they can use that in my deed to access their property. Now, where Pancho's property's at, I'm not sure if in his deed he has also given permission for his neighbor to access their property, because if you can see, they're landlocked. They have no egress or ingress to get in and out of their property. Yes, it does flood when we have a lot of rain. I have a sinkhole, and when it fills up, our sinkholes merge together. And so the neighbors that are landlocked, they have a difficult time getting out because they can't see that gravel drive. The workers, they're not parking on that neighbor who's got their property locked in. They're parking on my property. And I have no problem with them parking on my property. They've asked permission to dig their water line on my property. I gave that permission. I gave them permission to use that drive to access their property. They have cleaned up that whole entire area. The noise, I live there, I'm retired, so I hear what goes on. The earliest I've ever heard them is maybe at 6 in the morning, and they're gone in 10 minutes because their equipment's already loaded. They loaded up the night before. When they come back in the evenings, you know, right now it's summer, so they work a little bit longer because it's daylight. But they're usually in by 6 or 6:30. They park their equipments, and they're gone. During the day, there's no noise, nothing going on. No heavy equipment is in there. They have made the area look nice. They built a fence around the area. Matter of fact, the neighbor that lives behind them on Elam Road, they just did their driveway. Nice, pretty concrete driveway, okay? They did my concrete pad for my gazebo. They're good people, and the noise is not a problem. okay? The noise is not a problem. I'm there every day, okay? I'm there every day, and it's not a problem for me.
Thank you. Anyone else? Give us your name and any.
My name's Marty Perkins. I live at 3795 Mount Tabor Road, and I am actually across the road from where the easement driveway, their driveway easement that isn't a driveway yet, hopefully, comes out onto Mount Tabor Road. And thus, that is my concern, is that if this is allowed to go through and be made a business, that, and I hope nothing ever happens to George, but I don't know how that's set up as far as the permitted access to and from that property. If George dies, you know, is that locked in stone, concrete, sealed, and delivered? I do not know the answer to those questions, but you can see the configuration of that easement. It's jacked up. I don't blame George for not wanting a driveway behind his house, but the simple fact of the matter is, if something happens to him, they could exit their property out onto Mount Tabor Road. And if any of y'all been out Mount Tabor Road, it's 14 foot 6 inches wide. It's so narrow that the county couldn't put a stripe down the middle of it because what was left would not constitute a lane. Danielle, thank you for your input. You are an asset, young lady. But anyway, point being is that if it's allowed to become a business, which I'm not opposed to the business, I hear them. George lives closer to them than I do. I hear them mostly in the evenings because I still work, so I'm up and gone. But I can say I do pass the workers coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning going to that property. So and they're good, hardworking people. I don't deny none of that. But my point is that because of where I live, there's no way that ultimately if they decided, and this passes, and they decide to put that driveway in to exit or enter off of Mount Tabor Road, as narrow as that road is, that it would not affect my property.
I do have a quick question. Do you hear any noise?
Yes.
From your side? What kind of noise? Can you explain that,
but it's
please?
not overbearing. I do, on a Saturday morning, I hear them over there loading and, getting going wherever. And I mostly, because I still work, I'm gone in the mornings, but I do hear them in the evenings. The trailer bouncing on the gravel driveway and, just full of material and stuff, just typical what you would think you would hear from a construction outfit. And the whole terminology, major concrete, that scares all us residents. That's major concrete. So it's bigger than us residential people. So
thank you very much. Anyone else? Go ahead.
So in a major home business, it talks about things not being stored outside. What if there's no outside building? What do y'all do about that?
Well, because he's coming before you, you have the authority to approve outdoor storage.
Well, he mentioned that they were going to build a building.
Right.
But I didn't know how you guys enforce something that doesn't exist.
As a condition limiting outdoor storage
Yes.
because of the new building that may be built in the future? Is that?
Right.
I think it would be difficult, but, maybe when they go to build it, they could come back before you. You could also consider a condition that all traffic, business traffic, is limited to the Elam Road. You have that authority, so.
Okay, thank you.
That answer your question? Well, if it doesn't exist, then they can't do it, period, okay? Go ahead, I'm sorry. Give us your name and any your information.
So it can be outside that. How does it get approved? That doesn't exist.
I'm sorry, it's going right over my head. So you are entitled to, the Board of Zoning Appeals can approve outdoor storage. That's why he's here.
Okay, let's go ahead with this. Go ahead.
My name's Randall Patterson. I live at 5807 Elam Road. I've been out there for 29 years. I agree with what George and Marty says. They're great people. They got a really good business there. I'm up every morning, 5:30, 5:45. I'm out late in the afternoon. I don't hear the noise, and I'm directly across the road from them, just a house separating them, and they've improved that property a lot. I also agree with what Marty's saying. It should not dump out on Mount Tabor, because that's a big issue whenever we start getting traffic on that really small road. We've dealt with it when we had accidents on 24, when that road gets extremely busy, and then they go cutting down Mount Tabor, and it's not large enough for big trucks or anything. But they do a good job, and they've improved that property out there a whole lot, for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
that. Anyone else?
I'll just say, I've driven Mount Tabor, and if there's a way to be able to, if everybody's in agreement, but being able to put that driveway with that commercial traffic out onto Mount Tabor would be an issue as far as safety goes. Especially with trucks, trailers, to be able to get out there onto that road.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening, board members. My name is Michael Shirley. I live at 5089 Lytle Creek Road. I am neither for nor against this application. The reason I'm here is that I represent this zone as their road board member, and I received several calls regarding this application. And I thought I would share with you some of the concerns that I have from my experience on the road board. I would like to also point out I do not represent the road board today. I am just representing myself as the road board member for this particular area. As you all have heard already, Mount Tabor Road is substandard in width. For 2 cars to pass, I have a full-size truck, and I have to get off the road when someone else is coming. Mount Tabor Road has bus traffic on it as well. And so if this application has any impact or any additional traffic on Mount Tabor Road, I would be opposed to that. I did call and speak with Danielle, who said that your board has great amount of leeway as far as special restrictions that could be applied to this application. And so I would ask you to restrict all traffic related to this business to Elam Road should you decide to approve it in other areas. I would also, as Mr. Curtis pointed out, I would make this contingent upon that if the homeowner by right decides to build a driveway in the future to Mount Tabor Road, that the business could not use that they would be restricted to the driveway that they're already using. And as you pointed out, they should probably go ahead and get that in writing, that they have access to that. So Danielle said that should they in the future decide to make that you could restrict them to using the driveway easement that they're currently using and restrict them to Elam Road. And I don't think that they would turn left and then turn left onto Mount Tabor, but I would, if you are able to put that in there, I would just tell them that they cannot put any of their trucks onto Mount Tabor unless they're doing a job down there, which it sounds like the neighbors in the area have done that a lot, which is good. So again, I just wanted to share with you some of the concerns that I have. Shared driveways are a concern, not for the people that live at a, maybe have already entered into that kind of agreement. It's usually when we transfer property ownership 2 or 3 times, and then it becomes a problem. So just wanted to bring those concerns to your attention so you could make any restrictions or considerations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate road board members showing up. You've got a lot to do and a lot on your shoulders. We had no intention of moving any streets out to or access out to Mount Tabor Road. That would be something above what we would do anyway. So, do we have anyone else? Close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, based on everything that we've heard here tonight, it sounds like the applicant is attempting to be as good a neighbor as possible, and as evidenced by the people surrounding that have come and spoke that they are. But I do agree with Road Board Member Shirley that I'd like to make this a motion to approve, but that there be no business traffic out on Mount Tabor Road to and from the property.
I'll accept that motion.
I'm not done, sir. I'm still going, sorry. And that no outside storage of materials. They need to be all internal, inside a structure built at a future date. And they need to show staff confirmed access to Elam Road for into the future, whatever it may take, whether it be an easement or some other legal document.
You're making a long motion.
Yes, sir, I tend to. I'm sorry.
Okay, does everybody understand that? Do we have a second? Patrick? Okay.
Could you read it back, please, the motion?
Yes,
please?
ma'am. The motion is to approve with no business traffic out on Mount Tabor Road due to its narrowness and confined space. No outside storage of the construction material. It needs to be all stored in a building or a lean-to of some kind.
Okay.
And some kind of confirmed documentation of their access to Elam Road from the Mr. Patterson, whether it be a copy of his deed showing that easement's there or whatever it may take to make that legally binding going into the future.
Do we have a second?
Do we need a time frame on that building?
It's not in the motion.
I second.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please. My take on that is just materials, not the trucks.
Well, the application is right. The application we bought is for the amount of trucks that exceeds the number of trucks allowed and for the number of employees, the amount of residents that exceeds the number allowed. And it's approved. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that what's been applied for as compared to what was being motion is. The motion is consistent with the maximums under the regulation, and that's fine. We're not increasing those. The board has to do that. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that we're not increasing them. In other words, we're not application all being in excess of those.
We have a
would it be appropriate to modify my motion to include those?
I just want to, for the record,
He just wants for the record what your intent was.
yes, whether or not you're intending to grant all being applied for with respect to trucks and the non-resident employees.
Yes, sir. Based on the application, the only additional requirements were what I stated in my motion.
So your motion is to approve everything that's being applied for?
Yeah, with the additional restrictions that I specified.
Okay, so then in your motion, they can have four, let me flip to that page, up to four pickup trucks.
5 non-resident employees.
And 5 non-resident employees.
Yeah, a skid steer and 4 work trucks.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay? Yeah. We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, over here. Do you have some?
No, I was just going to second it.
I just didn't want you to get missed. I'm sorry, Amber, I just didn't want you to get missed.
No, you're good, thanks.
Mike Curtis.
Yes.
Amber Brown.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
Renee Curtis. Patrick Hale.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes, it is approved. The next item we have is by Jose Santos, and he's requesting a special exemption for a major home business, and this is storage of equipment and materials for a construction business. And what do you have on that, please?
Okay, Application 2024-28 involves a property located at 7841 Highway 99. It's a request for special exception approval for the establishment of a major home-based business involving the storage of equipment and material for a construction business upon a property located in the RM zone. And the applicant lives off of a long driveway off of Highway 99. This is the result of a code enforcement complaint, and the applicant was notified to come in and apply for a major home-based business, and they promptly, once notified, they promptly came in and applied. They would like the ability to have trucks stored at the property, as well as maintain those trucks within a building. They have a fleet. They do park a lot of their items off-site, but they also want to maintain, have 2 employees on-site working on their fleet by repairing trucks and making changes there. The maintenance of the vehicles will occur during daylight hours, Monday through Friday. Occasionally, the trucks and equipment will be washed on Saturdays. And they're planning to store tools, trailers, and approximately 4 to 8 vehicles, including dump trucks and trucks on site. They are planning to have 2 non-resident employees, and obviously the construction business activities will take place off-site, and no signage is proposed. So a sign was placed at the end of their driveway, and as you can see, it's kind of an awkward driveway. They have to make a lot of turns to get to Highway 99. We did receive several calls and in-person visits with people with concerns about the request. There were some concerns about burning materials on site, the fumes. We've received calls regarding the gravel and the dust that's brought up over the gravel.
Did you say burning materials?
Yes, that's a concern that was brought up to it. It's not mentioned as part of the application. I'm just explaining what was stated to staff, and the noise associated with that truck traffic. And I'm sure we have someone here to speak on the request, and they submitted some videos of some of that truck traffic examples. But this is the area of the site that will be used for the business. And we find that if it can comply with all the conditions for a major home-based business, it would be acceptable for special exception approval. However, that's the board's decision.
Do we have anyone here representing this? If you'll come around, please.
Gomez, Santos, 7849 Highway 99. Oh, sorry, too short.
I've got a question.
Yes.
I see that you're going to have dump trucks. How many dump trucks?
At the beginning, we were using that as our main place, but right now we have another location. It's completely off that location. Right now, we're only using it to check our trucks, make sure everything's running with the trucks. But the burning materials, we don't have any material burning. There was a few storms, trees, maybe that's what they meant, but from the same location, not from our materials or anything like that.
Okay, because your application says that you will have dump trucks, so that's what you're requesting, so I just...
We have 2 mechanics that check our trucks, so we do want to have the mechanics there to be able to check them if they need to tires or anything like that.
So you want us, so what's the traffic of the dump trucks? How many dump trucks are coming in?
It can be 1 a day, it can be 2 a day. We have 9, but we won't have the 9 there. We have another location that we store them at, so they're probably going to go in maybe once or twice a day. Before, we were doing it, we were running it from there, but we're not doing that anymore.
So 1 to 2 dump trucks that will be coming on that property daily. Is that what I understand?
Maybe a dump truck, maybe a truck. So it's not going to be, let's say if a truck needs an oil change or it needs to be checked for something, we need to just check them, and then if they do, then we'll send them out and get fixed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this. If you'll come around at this time.
Hello, my name is Joseph Matthews, and I live at 5421 Salem View. Okay. I'd like to start my comments by saying to Mr. Santos, sir, I'm your neighbor. This is nothing personal against you and your business, okay?
Got 3 minutes, sir.
Yeah, I'll get it in. Okay, my wife and I have lived here for over 20 years. I'm here to explain how allowing Mr. Santos' special exception will adversely affect my property. The property line in my backyard is 10 feet from the gravel driveway used by Mr. Santos' business. The driveway is approximately 100 feet from my patio and back porch. Mr. Santos has been operating his business at 7841 Highway 49 for well over a year, in violation, it seems, of the regulations for the medium-density residential zoning district. During this time, we have endured countless days of noise and dust, believe me. Gravel driveways with dump trucks and trailers carrying construction equipment are by their nature quite loud and noisy and create large dust clouds which spread with the prevailing winds. This dust settles on our house, windows, automobiles, etc., and we are breathing it when we are outside. Mr. Santos' crews work long hours from early in the morning till dark. Even on holidays, such as the 4th of July, there were dump trucks going up and down the driveway carrying full loads of material which were dumped on his property. I also feel that this could possibly lower the value of my property because of the issues I brought up here today. My wife and I enjoy spending time working in the yard. We have a 3-year-old grandson we babysit, so we're outside a lot. There have been times when we've been forced indoors due to the dust. I'm here today. Sorry, lost my train. In closing, I would ask why anyone would want this daily in their backyard. My wife and I certainly don't want this, and I ask the board to deny this special exception. Thank you.
I have a question.
I do have some video.
Have a question there.
Yes, sir.
What materials are coming in on the dump trucks?
Well, you'd have to ask Mr. Santos, but they appear to be loads of dirt. I would estimate over the course of the last 6 months that there's been 400 to 500 loads of dirt taken up to that property. Now, I haven't been up there to witness this, but I have a neighbor who has witnessed it.
So they're loaded when they go in and they're empty when they come out?
This is correct, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Danielle, can we show one of the videos, please?
Let's see.
Can you pick it up? My patio, my backyard. You hear the noise?
Don't so nasty. How many more?
Now, that driveway runs behind all.
Hey Siri, turn off flashlight.
All the properties on Salem View, which is an old established neighborhood. It's been there for a long time. And some of the other folks that are Steve here, all live there for years. This is what we have to do. That's good. You want to show another one?
I think that's enough. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much
Thank
for your
you.
time today.
Anyone else? We're open for public hearing. Come around. Thank you.
My name is David Stiles. My wife Glenda and I reside at 5413 Salem View Court. Our property, just like Rick, we all back up to this property. So what we have done is we have prepared a statement, and I'd like to read that statement at this time. First, let us state that my wife and I are totally against the request for special exception. The reason for this request is due to the fact that the property owner in question, Jose Santos, got caught operating a construction business in an RM medium density residential zoning district. This has been very troublesome for our entire neighborhood, and the property owners of Salem View Court do not want this in our neighborhood. Witnessed daily from the hours of 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. large triaxle dump trucks, trailers, heavy equipment are steady traveling up and down the property driveway. This has now been going on for approximately 2 years. It is a total disturbance to our peaceful neighborhood. These trucks and equipment come lumbering through, making noise, and has left us all to wonder what is going on. Witnessed daily, the heavy equipment, trucks and trailers and vehicles create so much dust that it is similar to the nature of fog. Our homes, personal belongings, and all of our vehicles are covered constantly in dust. You cannot keep anything clean, and air quality is seriously in question. This has kept the neighborhood from enjoying outside activities. As found under Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, TDEC, and acknowledged through the state requirements as found under the Tennessee Erosion Prevention and Sediment Control, EPSC, the following is taking place at all times. On State Highway 99 from the entrance and exit to 7841 Residence Driveway, tracking out is taking place. Other shot rock being hauled and in and out of the property are left on the highway. I think I have a break in my writing. Sorry. Track out takes place during wet weather conditions, causing a muddy, wet mess on Highway 99 consisting of both limestone dust and muddy soil. Notice should be given to the fact that the driveway entrance is not constructed in a manner to accept this heavy traffic and is not wide enough to allow for the heavy traffic to easily access the driveway. Recently, in a heavy rain event, the driveway entrance in question was washed out and the sides of the driveway were washed out and into the primary line of stormwater flow. This is against everything that is mandated by the state of Tennessee when it comes to driveway entrances and the proper way entrance drains are constructed. It should be noted that the property owner had to use heavy equipment to reshape the banks of the driveway in an attempt to clear the primary drain to the stormwater ditch line. The safety of the neighborhood and the use of Highway 99 is in question. This creates a dangerous situation as large trucks and equipment are entering and exiting the driveway, and on some occasions traffic must stop for this activity. Just the mere inadequate size of the entrance creates an ever-worsening situation on Highway 99. Based on the facts and observations of this document, we humbly request this application be denied. The current activity is cause for devaluing our properties. The neighborhood of Salem View do not want this in our zoning district as found by the presence of residents that are here today. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next, anyone else?
Hello, my name's Terry Speck. I live at 5403 Salem View Court, and I am the first house as they pull in the drive, which would be on the bottom blue line there. That drive comes beside my property almost to the first corner. We get a lot of dust, as long as everyone else, but the main thing is a safety concern. The highway traffic there is a 55-mile-an-hour zone. The trucks can pull out even at a higher gear and still not be over 5 to 10 miles an hour. There are skid marks constantly from both directions where the doctor's office across the street and their driveway, the trucks coming in and out, and traffic coming in and out of the doctor's office, both cause a safety concern. So that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions?
Anyone else?
Hello, people. I'm Kevin Swartz. I live at 1425 Bradbury Drive. I wanted to just say I have property adjacent, but I don't live there. And I do think that the trucks are not going to be a problem once Jose finishes the landfill that he's doing there. And if they're just doing maintenance, I don't have any problem with it. I do have a problem with the trash burning, the explosive stuff that goes off. I think that there's a limit to how long the trucks are going to be hauling it in and out of there, which I'm sorry that it has been going on for a while. And I'm sorry that it's made those people on Salem View Court have a problem, but I think that will end. And he has built a fence across my easement across there that could keep the trash from blowing down, but they haven't done a very good job keeping the trash from blowing off their property. And I have an interesting comment to make about the prevailing winds, because I thought the prevailing winds in Tennessee were out of the south, and I am south of that property, but it seems like we must get an awful lot of northerly wind, because that's where the trash goes, down to my place.
What trash are you speaking of?
Just, they work on a lot of trucks, and they have like lunch material, like sacks, plastic sacks. They'll open something to repair a truck and just throw it on the ground, and it's back in my property. Styrofoam seems to take it's not something that's hard to pick up, but when you're mowing, you don't want to stop and pick up trash for an hour before you mow for a half an hour. So that's the issue. But I'm saying that I think that they're trying to the fact that they built a fence there, and it's a significant fence to keep they were leaning their materials against the fence that divided my property and theirs. And now they put up a fence that they can, their material's not at least seen from the road. Which one is yours? 77? No, that doesn't sound right, but that's mine. Yes, the one with the long strip going out to Thompson.
7709.
Yeah. Okay. Which is that, But I don't have a problem with them running a business out of there, because they've been doing it for a couple of years, and I'm sure that the hauling of the material is going to stop at some time, right? I mean, it's.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm going to close the public hearing, and let me point out to you all, This is according to our staff findings. It fails to meet all the general requirements for special exemption, and it also for specific standards. Mike?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, based on those staff comments about failing to meet the general requirements for special exception and the fact that this use is not compatible with a residential neighborhood due to the level of noise and dust and the large amount of commercial vehicles accessing the property, and also the potential for health and safety concerns with the washing of commercial vehicles on this property, I move to deny.
Have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mike Curtis,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain, Renee Curtis, Patrick Hale,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes, it failed. I tabled the Tyler Mentick item that was before us. I was hoping that Gary Farley, who had the big called away for emergency.
Well, we did an approval and we did a denial, and both of them failed, so.
So Gary decided not to come back, I guess. Any further discussion, folks?
Now, Gary, he told me he had to leave for an emergency.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Fire.
I'm recalling this. Mike, you want to make your motion again?
I'm not sure whether we can we repeat a motion?
Yeah, you can. I was the one that decided not to accept it because you couldn't get a second, but you
Right.
can make it again.
Well, that's true. It died for lack of a second. Because of the fact that restrictive covenants are not part of what we consider here, and we're not TDEC, it's up to the applicant to comply with TDEC. I move for approval.
Say that last part.
I move for approval of the application as presented.
Number?
What's the number? Is it 02?
24.
24?
Did we get a second? Oh, okay.
Is it 24? Okay.
Let's somebody make a second on this and then vote your heart on it.
Mr. Chair, if you, I do not know if you would, if you would wish to second it, and ordinarily the chair would not do this sort of thing, but considering the circumstances, what might be appropriate if the chair thought about seconding it, then the chair could relinquish the chair temporarily to the vice chair for the purpose of either making a motion or seconding the motion that's on the table, or that's on the floor, rather. So in which case, whomever is the vice chair would proceed.
I agree with you, County Attorney. I'm going to second this.
So who is our vice chair?
Jerry?
Okay. Any opposition to the vice chair assuming the duties of the chair at this time? Okay.
Call the roll. Lisa.
And this is to approve that the vice chair conduct the meeting at this point, correct? I just want to make sure we're voting on what we're voting on.
Let's just do that, yes, and then we'll move forward with the main motion.
Mike Curtis,
Yes.
Amber Brown.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
No.
Renee Curtis,
No.
Patrick Hale,
No.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
I thought we were voting on Jerry being the vice chair. That's what we were voting on, not the business. Okay. Okay. I was making sure I put the right vote in because I'm not approving this.
Okay.
Failed due to lack of approval.
All right, we're tied on this.
Should we re-vote on Mr. Sartain, assuming the duties of the chairperson, make that cleaner, and then vote on the motion that Mike made?
I would make the suggestion that the voting, if everyone did understand and intend that what we're voting on, and intend to not allow our vice chair to assume the role of chair, if that's what was just voted down, which I thought that's what we were voting on, then I want to make the point, I know Amber asked that question, I want to make the point that a vote is not technically required under Robert's rules. So I asked for the consent of the body as a matter of course, because I assumed incorrectly, and I apologize, that there would not be opposition. I'm sorry to everyone who did oppose, not your fault. But again, under Robert's rules, there would not, unless the vice chair wish to speak on the motion, then the vice chair can go ahead and accept that role. So it's really up to the vice chair to accept that role. So. Yes. So okay. So now we're clarified. Very good. Okay. Excellent. Very good. So. I see. So there was some confusion among the body. Okay, very good. So very good. So we're back to, there's been a second. Our vice chair has agreed to accept the role as chair. And Mr. Cantrell has seconded the main motion that was made originally by Mr. Curtis. We all present on that? Okay.
So we will vote such that everybody understands this vote is.
Speak into your microphone.
We're voting on Michael's motion. Please call the roll.
Mike Curtis.
Yes.
Amber Brown.
No.
Jerry Sartain.
No.
Renee Curtis.
No.
Patrick Hale.
No.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
So the motion fails.
Motion failed.
Right.
You're supposed to.
It is not approved.
Correct.
Do we have any other business?
Do not have any other business.
Then we are adjourned.
All right.